Michael had lived in his quiet neighborhood for many years. He loved the peaceful streets, the friendly neighbors, and the small houses that made the place feel like home. His backyard was his favorite spot. Many years ago, he had built a swimming pool there. Back then, it was new and exciting. It was a place where Michael and his family spent long summer days cooling off and having fun. Children splashed around, friends gathered, and the pool was full of happy memories. But time passed. The pool got old, the tiles cracked, the water did not stay clean, and the pump often broke. It cost Michael a lot of money to keep fixing it. Sometimes the pool was more trouble than joy. One day Michael looked at the pool and thought about all the work it needed. He realized that it was becoming unsafe. It could be dangerous, especially if someone slipped or if the pool water got dirty and caused sickness. He felt worried. Michael also thought about how much the pool was limiting his use of the backyard. The space was small, and the pool took up most of it. If he removed the pool, he could use the area for other things, maybe a garden or a place to sit and relax. He wanted a fresh start, something simple and peaceful. He talked with his family about the idea. They all agreed. Removing the pool would be better for everyone. It would be safer, easier to take care of, and would open new possibilities for their home. Michael made up his mind. Before starting, Michael checked the rules in his neighborhood. There was a homeowners association, or HOA, that helped manage the community. They had many rules about what people could do with their houses and yards. Michael wanted to be sure he was not breaking any rule. He read the HOA documents carefully. It said that people needed permission for some changes, like building new fences or big additions to the house. But there was no rule stopping someone from removing something on their own property. The pool was on Michael's land, fully inside his backyard. The HOA did not own or control his yard. This gave Michael confidence. He also called the local city office to ask if any permits were needed for removing a pool. They told him that because it was a private pool on private land, no special permits were required for demolition. He could safely take down the pool himself or hire workers to do it. Feeling ready, Michael hired a small team of workers who specialized in pool removal. They agreed to come and start the work the next week. Michael prepared the backyard, moved garden furniture, cleaned the area, and made sure everything was safe for the workers. On the first day of demolition, Michael felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. He knew this was a big change. The pool had been part of his life for so long, but he also knew it was time. The workers began breaking up the tiles and the concrete that made the pool's shape. They worked carefully, but quickly. Dust rose in the air, and the sounds of hammers and drills echoed in the backyard. Michael watched from inside his house, sometimes stepping outside to check. Neighbors began to notice. Some came to their windows to see what was happening. Few stopped by to ask Michael why he was removing the pool. Michael smiled and explained simply, "The pool was old and unsafe. I want to make a garden here instead." Most neighbors nodded and said it sounded like a good idea. Few looked surprised but said nothing. The neighborhood was quiet again after a while, and the workers kept going. Michael felt peaceful. He thought about planting flowers, trees, and maybe even a small vegetable patch. The idea of a green, calm backyard was very pleasing to him. He looked forward to spending more time there, away from noisy machines and broken tiles. However, Michael did not know that not everyone in the neighborhood was happy about his decision. A few days after the work started, someone from the HOA came to visit. Her name was Karen. Many people in the neighborhood knew her. She was the HOA representative, but also the one who liked to control many things. Some neighbors called her Karen. It was a joke because she was often strict and sometimes rude when it came to rules. Karen knocked on Michael's door. When he opened, she was stern and not friendly. She said, "Michael, I heard you were removing your pool. You need to stop immediately. You don't have permission from the HOA, and you are breaking the rules." Michael was surprised. "Karen, this is my own property. The pool is on my land, and I checked the rules carefully. I don't see any rules stopping me from removing it." Karen frowned. "The HOA cares about how the neighborhood looks. We have rules to keep everything nice and uniform. Removing the pool without permission could cause problems for the community." Michael tried to stay calm. I understand that, but the pool is old and unsafe. I'm fixing my property by removing it. I have the right to do this on my land. Karen shook her head. You must stop the demolition until we review this. Otherwise, I will take further action. What? Michael felt annoyed but didn't want trouble. He asked, what kind of action? Karen didn't answer clearly but said, you'll see. After Karen left, Michael felt uneasy. He wondered what would happen next, but he also felt sure that he was doing the right thing. He decided to continue with the work, but carefully. The next few days passed with the workers removing the pool step by step. Michael was careful to keep the noise down and the area safe. Told his neighbors he was just fixing his property, and most of them supported him quietly. Still, Michael kept thinking about Karen's warning. He wished the HOA would understand that people's homes needed changes sometimes. Not everything could stay the same forever. One evening, as Michael sat on his porch watching the sunset, he thought about the future. He pictured a beautiful garden, full of flowers and green grass. A place where his family could play safely, and he could relax with a book or a cup of tea. He smiled, feeling hopeful. No matter what the HOA said, he believed in his right to care for his own land. The pool was coming down, and a new chapter was beginning. But little did Michael know, the situation with Karen and the HOA was about to get more complicated. The quiet neighborhood would soon be filled with unexpected tension. What started as a simple decision to remove an old pool was about to turn into a big challenge. After Karen's warning, Michael hoped the situation with the HOA would calm down. He thought maybe she would talk to the other HOA leaders and find that he was allowed to remove the pool. But that was not what happened. The next morning, Michael was surprised to see Karen standing by his driveway again. This time, she was not alone. She had brought a small group of people with her. They looked official, but Michael could not tell who they were at first. Karen walked up to Michael and said in a sharp voice, "Michael, this has gone too far. You did not stop the demolition. You did not ask for permission. This is a violation of the HOA rules." Michael listened carefully. "Karen, I checked everything before I started. The pool is on my property, and there is no rule against removing it. I am not breaking any law." Karen ignored his words and said, "I called the HOA board, and they agreed we need to take action. We also called the police to make sure you stop this work immediately." Michael's eyes grew wide. The police? Why would the police get involved in something like this? This is my land. Karen smiled in a way that made Michael uncomfortable. "You'll see. We have to protect the neighborhood's rules. You can't just do whatever you want." Michael felt angry, but tried to stay calm. He invited Karen and the group inside so they could talk. He wanted to explain his side clearly. The people with Karen introduced themselves. A few were HOA board members and 2 were police officers who had come because of Karen's call. The officers were polite but serious. Michael showed them the paperwork. He had printed copies of the HOA rules, the city's permit advice, and photos of the pool on his property. He explained step by step why he believed the work was legal. The officers listened closely. They asked questions about the pool's location and if there were any complaints from neighbors. Michael said none had complained. Karen interrupted, "But the demolition makes noise and dust. It disturbs the peace." Michael nodded. "I understand that. That is why we work during the day and keep the area safe. I am trying to be respectful." Officer spoke quietly with the others. After a few minutes, the lead officer looked at Michael and said, "We understand your points. We will make a report, but for now, there is no immediate legal reason to stop the work." Karen looked frustrated. She tried to argue again, but the officers said they had to follow the law, not the HOA rules. Michael felt relieved, but knew this was not the end. Karen had shown she was willing to push the issue further. After the officers left, Karen stayed a little longer. She told Michael, "This isn't over. We will bring this to a full HOA meeting. You might get fines or be forced to undo the work." Michael shook his head. "I will wait for the meeting, but I am confident I am in the right." Karen finally left, but her visit left a bad feeling in the air. Michael noticed some neighbors were watching quietly, whispering about what had happened. That evening, Michael talked to a few neighbors he trusted. They said they had seen Karen act this way before. She liked to control things and sometimes overstepped her role. One neighbor, Mrs. Lopez, said, "I think you are doing the right thing, Michael. The pool was old and dangerous. We want you to feel safe in your home." Another neighbor, Mr. Adams, added, "Karen has a hard time accepting change. Don't let her scare you." Michael felt grateful for their support. It made him stronger. In the days that followed, Michael continued the demolition work. The workers removed broken concrete, dug up old pipes, and cleaned the area. Michael stayed busy planning how the new garden would look, but the tension with the HOA grew. Michael received a letter in the mail. It was official, from the HOA board. The letter said Michael had broken the rules and must stop the work immediately. It also said he could face fines or legal action if he did not comply. Michael read the letter carefully, decided to get advice from a property lawyer. The lawyer was experienced in HOA cases and local property law. Michael met with the lawyer and shared all the documents and letters. The lawyer studied everything closely. After a few days, the lawyer called Michael. He said, "Michael, from what you've shown me, you are within your rights to remove the pool. The HOA cannot stop you because the pool is on your property, and the rules do not forbid demolition. However, the HOA can try to delay the process or fine you, but those actions may not hold up in court." Michael felt a new sense of confidence. He thanked the lawyer and decided to prepare for the upcoming HOA meeting where the issue would be discussed. Meanwhile, Karen started speaking more openly with neighbors. She tried to convince them that Michael was breaking rules and hurting the neighborhood's appearance. Some neighbors listened, but many had doubts. One day, a small group of neighbors came to Michael's house. They wanted to talk. They said, "Michael, we support you. We think the pool was old and unsafe. It is your land, and you should be able to do what you want with it." Michael smiled warmly. "Thank you. It means a lot to me." The support gave Michael hope. He knew he was not alone. On the day of the HOA meeting, many people came. Michael spoke calmly and clearly, explaining his reasons and showing all the evidence. He asked the HOA to respect his rights and to allow him to finish the work. Karen argued strongly against him. She said the rules were clear and must be followed. But many neighbors spoke up for Michael, sharing their support. After long discussion, the HOA board decided to delay any punishment until they could review all the facts. They said Michael could continue the work for now, but must keep them informed. Michael felt like he had won a small battle, kept working to remove the pool. Completely days turned into weeks. The pool was almost gone. Michael started planting grass and flowers. He built a small fence and put some benches. The backyard began to look peaceful and beautiful, just as Michael had dreamed. Still, Michael was careful. He stayed polite with Karen and the HOA, but stood firm. He knew standing up for his rights was important, not just for himself, but for others in the neighborhood who might face similar problems. The experience had been stressful, but Michael grew stronger. He learned about his rights, how to stay calm under pressure, and the importance of community support. The story was far from over, but Michael had made clear that he would not be pushed around. The pool was coming down, and a new beginning was growing in its place. As the weeks passed, Michael continued to work hard on removing the pool and turning his backyard into a peaceful garden. The broken concrete and old pipes were finally gone, and fresh soil was ready for new plants. He felt proud and happy seeing his visions slowly become real. However, Karen did not stop watching. She often came by the neighborhood, sometimes stopping near Michael's house to talk to other neighbors. She was still unhappy with what he was doing. Karen believed that the neighborhood had certain rules that everyone must follow, and she thought Michael was ignoring them. One afternoon, Michael was planting some flowers when he saw a police car slowly driving by his house. At first he thought it was just a routine patrol. But then the car stopped and 2 police officers got out and walked up to him. Michael was surprised but greeted them politely. The officer said, "Sir, we received another complaint about the work being done here. We need to ask you some questions." Michael nodded and invited them to speak freely. He explained everything again, that he was removing an old, unsafe pool from his own property that he had checked with the city and HOA rules, and that he had legal advice supporting him. The officers listened carefully. One of them asked, "Have you received any permits or approvals from the HOA?" Michael replied, "No, because the HOA does not require permission for demolition on private property, only for building new structures. I've shown this to my lawyer." The officers looked at each other and then said, "We will check the reports, but for now, there is no immediate reason to stop your work. If there are any safety issues or local laws being broken, we will contact you." Michael thanked them. The officers left, and Michael felt a little relieved, but also worried. He wondered why Karen was involving the police again. It seemed she was trying to make the situation harder for him. Later that day, some neighbors came by Michael's house and wanted to support him. The neighbor said, "Michael, we think you are handling this well. Karen is known to complain a lot, but we know you are within your rights." Another neighbor added, "If you need help, we are here. We don't want anyone to bully you over this." Michael felt grateful. The community's support made him stronger. It reminded him that he was not alone in this fight. As the police visits continued, Michael decided to keep detailed records, wrote down every visit, every conversation, and kept copies of all letters and emails from the HOA. He also took pictures of the work in progress, showing that the demolition was safe and clean. Michael's lawyer advised him to be calm and cooperative with the police, but also firm in protecting his rights. The lawyer said, "Always be polite, but don't let the HOA or anyone else push you into stopping work if you are legally allowed to continue." Michael took this advice seriously. One evening, Michael received a letter from the city's building department. It was an inspection notice. They wanted to check the site to ensure the demolition was safe and met regulations. Michael welcomed the inspectors the next day. They came with clipboards and cameras. They carefully examined the area, looked at the equipment, and asked Michael questions about the work. After a long inspection, the lead inspector said, "Everything here appears to be in order. You have not violated any city codes. Just be sure to finish the work safely." Michael felt relieved and shared the good news with his neighbors. Many were happy to hear this confirmation. Despite the official approvals and support, Karen continued to be difficult. She sent more letters to Michael, demanding he stop work and threatening fines. Michael decided to respond with a letter of his own, explaining calmly that he had the right to remove the pool, that he had legal and city approval, and that he would continue to work until the project was finished. Michael sent copies of his letter to the HOA. Borden kept a copy for himself. The situation seemed to be reaching a breaking point. Then, one afternoon, something unexpected happened. Michael was working in his backyard when a group of people arrived suddenly. It was the police again, but this time more officers came, and a few of them had official papers. Karen was with them. Looking very serious, the police showed Michael a court order. It said that because of the HOA complaint, all work must stop immediately until a hearing could take place. Michael was shocked. He did not know this hearing was scheduled. He asked the officers to explain, but they said they had to follow the court's order. Michael felt frustrated and confused. He wanted to talk to his lawyer right away. Karen looked satisfied. She said, "This is the right way. Now you must follow the rules." Michael tried to stay calm, told the police and Karen that he would comply, but he did not agree with the order. After the police left, Michael called his lawyer. The lawyer explained that the HOA had taken the case to court to try to force Michael to stop work. This was a legal battle now. The lawyer said, "You need to prepare for the hearing and gather all your evidence. Show that you have the right to remove the pool and that you have followed all laws." Michael started collecting everything: the HOA documents, the city permits, the inspection reports, the lawyer's notes, and letters from supportive neighbors. He also spoke with his neighbors again. Many agreed to write letters or come to the hearing to support him. The day of the hearing came. Michael was nervous, but ready at the hearing. The HOA lawyer argued that Michael had ignored community rules and disturbed the peace. Karen spoke firmly about the importance of HOA control. Michael's lawyer responded by showing all the evidence, proving Michael's right to remove the pool. He explained that the HOA rules did not forbid the demolition, and that Michael had followed all city laws. The judge listened carefully and asked questions. After a long session, the judge made a decision. The judge ruled that Michael had the right to remove the pool on his own property. The HOA could not force him to stop if he followed the law. The court order to stop work was lifted. Michael felt relief and happiness. The long fight was finally turning in his favor. Karen looked disappointed, but said nothing. After the hearing, Michael returned to work. The police no longer visited, and the HOA did not send more letters for a while. Michael focused on finishing the garden. He planted flowers, shrubs, and trees. He built paths and put benches for sitting. The backyard became a place of calm and beauty, exactly what Michael had dreamed of. Through this experience, Michael learned many things about standing up for his rights and the challenges of dealing with strict neighborhood rules. He also realized how important it was to have support from friends and neighbors. Michael was proud that he had stayed calm and respectful. Even when others tried to make things difficult, the pool was gone, and a new, peaceful space was growing in its place. Michael looked forward to many happy days ahead in his beautiful garden. After the court's decision, Michael felt a huge sense of relief. For weeks, he had been stressed and worried about the fight with the HOA and Karen. Now, he could finally focus on what mattered most: finishing his backyard and making it a peaceful place for his family. Michael worked every day. He planted flowers with bright colors, reds, yellows, and purples, that made the garden lively. He planted small trees that would grow tall and give shade in the summer. He built walking paths with smooth stones and set up a wooden bench where he could sit and enjoy the fresh air. His children helped sometimes. They picked out flowers and helped water the plants. It was a happy time, and the family felt close. Even some neighbors came by to say how nice the new garden looked. They told Michael that it was a good change for the neighborhood, and many admired his hard work. However, Karen was still not happy. Though the court had sided with Michael, she seemed determined to keep an eye on him. She sent more letters, but now they were less about stopping the work and more about small complaints. She said Michael needed to keep the garden neat and not let weeds grow, and that he had to make sure no tools were left outside. Michael took these letters seriously. He wanted to show that he was a good neighbor and willing to cooperate. He cleaned the garden often and made sure everything looked tidy. One afternoon, Michael received a surprise visit from the HOA president, Mr. Thompson. He was an older man, with a calm voice, different from Karen's sharp tone. Mr. Thompson said, "Michael, I want to thank you for working with us and for making your backyard beautiful. I know the past few weeks have been difficult. We want to move forward peacefully." Michael was happy to hear this. He replied, "Thank you, Mr. Thompson. I want to be a good neighbor and keep the peace." Mr. Thompson nodded. "Good, we will try to be fair and listen more carefully in the future." The conversation ended warmly, and Michael felt hopeful that the tension in the neighborhood was easing. Meanwhile, Michael's family started spending more time in the backyard. They had picnics on the grass, played games, and even invited friends over for small barbecues. The garden became a place of joy and relaxation. Michael sometimes thought about the hard days when Karen and the HOA had tried to stop him. It was a reminder that standing up for what is right can be difficult, but it is important. He also learned the value of patience and kindness. Even when others were harsh or unfair, Michael tried to stay calm and respectful. This helped keep the situation from getting worse. One day, Michael heard about a neighborhood meeting. This time, it was not about rules or complaints. The HOA wanted to talk about ways to make the community better and more friendly. Michael decided to attend. At the meeting, he spoke with other neighbors, sharing ideas about gardening, safety, and helping each other. Some neighbors thanked Michael for his courage and patience during the pool removal issue. They said his calm attitude helped the neighborhood come together. Karen was at the meeting too. She did not speak much, but she seemed less angry. After that, things slowly got better. The HOA stopped sending letters about Michael's garden. Karen's visits became less frequent. Michael felt proud. He had turned a stressful fight into a chance for peace and friendship. The garden was now full of life. Birds came to the trees, butterflies danced over the flowers, and the air smelled fresh and sweet. Michael often sat on his bench, thinking about how a broken pool had led to something beautiful. The backyard was not just a garden now, it was a symbol of patience, strength, and hope. His family loved the new space, and neighbors often stopped by to say hello or share a story. Michael understood that homes are about more than just buildings or pools. They are about the people who live there and the kindness they share. He hoped his story would remind others to stand up for what is right, but always with respect and care for those around them. The fight with the HOA and Karen was over, but Michael's journey as a neighbor and a friend was just beginning. After months of work and challenges, Michael finally had a beautiful backyard. The old pool was gone, replaced by a garden full of flowers, trees, and green grass. It was exactly what he had dreamed of when he first decided to take down the pool. His family loved the new space. His children played outside more, laughing and running under the shade of the new trees. Michael and his wife spent evenings sitting on the wooden bench, enjoying quiet moments together. The backyard had become a place of peace and happiness, but Michael also took time to think about everything that had happened. The fight with the HOA and Karen had been hard and stressful. He remembered the visits from the police, the letters, the court hearing, and the tension in the neighborhood. It had tested his patience and strength. Michael realized that the experience taught him many important lessons. First, he learned the value of knowing his rights. Before starting any big work on his property, he had carefully read the HOA rules and talked to city officials. Now, this knowledge helped him stay confident and protect himself when problems came. He also learned how important it was to stay calm. Even when Karen and others tried to pressure or scare him, Michael did not lose his temper. He spoke politely and clearly, which helped others listen to him. This calm attitude made a difference in how the conflict was handled. Michael understood the power of community support. When neighbors stood with him, wrote letters, or spoke kindly, it gave him strength. It reminded him that no one should face challenges alone. At the same time, Michael thought about the importance of kindness and respect. Even though Karen had been difficult, he did not return anger with anger. Instead, he showed respect and tried to understand her point of view. This helped keep the situation from getting worse. Michael also hoped that his story could help others. He wanted people to know that standing up for what is right is not always easy, but it is important. Doing so with respect, patience, and care can lead to better outcomes. With his backyard finally finished, Michael decided to share his story with the neighborhood. At a community event, he spoke about the journey of removing the pool and turning the space into a garden. He talked about the challenges he faced and how he overcame them. Many people listened closely. Some were inspired by his courage and calmness. Others learned more about their own rights and the importance of knowing community rules. Michael's story became a reminder that neighborhoods are about more than rules. They are about people working together and respecting each other. Over time, Michael and Karen's relationship changed. They still did not always agree, but there was less tension. Karen seemed to understand that Michael cared about the community and was willing to work with others. Michael also became more involved in the neighborhood. He helped organize gardening, clubs, and community cleanup days. His backyard garden became a meeting place for neighbors to gather and share stories. The experience gave Michael a new sense of purpose. He realized that even when challenges come, they can lead to growth and stronger bonds. His family was proud of him too. They saw how he stayed patient and kind even when things were hard. They learned the value of standing up for what is right. As seasons changed, Michael's garden grew more beautiful. Birds built nests in the trees, and colorful butterflies visited the flowers. The air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming plants. Michael often sat quietly, feeling grateful. He knew that what had started as a difficult fight over a pool became something much bigger, a story of courage, respect, and community. He looked forward to many happy years ahead, sharing his garden and his story with friends and neighbors. And so the old pool was gone, But what remained was much more valuable: a peaceful home, strong community, and a hopeful heart.